goodness. Big move Monday. Look out. A way to end the tournament.
So what's happening, people? Welcome back to the Quad Pod, sponsored by Poseidon Strength and Adidas Wrestling. Make sure you use our discount codes at checkout. All the information is below. As always, great to be joined by Robbie, Austin, Kevin. I'm Holmes. We appreciate you joining us for episode 31. This is the Priest Holmes episode to stay with running backs, and I'll go with Holmes I'm not related to. Reggie Miller for you basketball fans, who probably one of my favorite guys.
NBA Jam All-Star.
NBA Jam All-Star for sure. I mean, the choking meme is by far one of the best. For baseball fans, Mike Piazza, I'll go with that as well. I had some friends that were Mike Piazza fans. But we're a wrestling show, and we've got some really good wrestling to talk about. We're going to dig into the Endene Stout match. We've got Oklahoma State versus Air Force as well as ASU, some of those matches to dig into. Obviously, we're going to talk Penn State at Black Knight, and for one, thank them for not stopping the Penn State versus Penn State matches that went down in the finals. We've got Keystone, we've got Gable Steveson, and we'll talk some of the other notable things that happen in our conferences. But to start out, obviously, we do our weigh-in. And from my weigh-in, I am going to shout out the hometown. The Historic Hotel of Bethlehem is where I'm going with this one. Audrey Jimenez signed with them for an NIL deal with the Historic Hotel of Bethlehem. And this place, I had a chance to go there a number of times. We had my grandfather's, his 90th birthday at the Historic Hotel of Bethlehem, which is great, or Bethlehem for people that are from there. I decided to pronounce it correctly for everyone listening. But it was awesome to see her sign and be an NIL athlete, and I believe she is the national one of their national ambassadors. So Lehigh Women's Wrestling doing some awesome stuff, and it was really cool to see Audrey Jimenez signing with such a historic place. Everybody in the Lehigh Valley knows about this place, and it's great to see them supporting wrestling as we do in the Lehigh Valley. Austin, on to you.
That's funny. I had three quick ones, and that was actually one of the ones I wrote down. And it's weird you said that because we didn't discuss that at all. So
not at all. We didn't say that. Not for 1 second. Did we?
Your minds are thinking alike there. Yeah, she joins Crookham and Stanich, who are also NIL members there. So it's really cool that they're really helping out the Lehigh program, both men and women's. But I have two quick shout outs here. I'm going to represent my small schools in the EIWA. First, I'm with Morgan State. Eugene Harney, 149-pounder, is now 10-1 on the year, riding an 8-match win streak, and 5 of those wins came just this weekend. He had a win over the in the Maryland duel on Friday, and then he wrestled Sunday and won and went 4-0 at the Big Red Invite. He was the only person from Morgan State at the Big Red Invite, which is strange. I'm not sure what happened there. I'll get in contact with Coach Monday about that to see what that's about. But Eugene Harney, not in the rankings quite yet, but keeps winning these matches. He's going to get there. So a bright spot in that Morgan State lineup is Eugene Harney, 149. And my second small school shout I want to give is my local team here at F&M. James Conway, 184-pounder, just won his second Keystone Classic title this weekend. Beat a bunch of guys, and in the finals, he had McGill of Edinburgh, who beat Cartagena Walsh of Rutgers, beat him by like 6 or 7 points, so kind of separating himself. Might find himself in the top 10 rankings here soon enough. And I tweeted out last night, if you need a dark horse All-American at 184, James Conway from F&M is your guy. Wrestles hard, wrestles smart. One loss on the year, and it was by, I think, 2 or 3 points to Jackson Smith of Maryland. So he's been wrestling really well this year, and he's going to continue that path, and I'm rooting for them to get another All-American, which would be great from a small school.
Nice. Every time I hear Cartagena Walsh's name, I always say, thank God he doesn't wrestle for Nebraska, because there's no way all that is fitting on the back of their singlets. Robbie, on to you.
No, Conway's looked great this year. He was one that really stood out to me this weekend when I was watching. So great to see him. I want to give a shout out to North Carolina, and they had an event this weekend, the Carolina Duels, where they had Davidson, UNC Pembroke, and Greensboro. So all three levels of wrestling in the state, and bringing them all together in Chapel Hill. And I think that's a fantastic idea. I would love more schools to do that, kind of bring other schools within the state together and have a big event. I think it's great for local kids to see that there's multiple levels and options within the state, and they can see high level wrestling. And I really like the idea. North Carolina looked great. They shut out all three duels, 47-0, 49-0, and I think 57-0. So great weekend for them. They're off to a 5-0 start. They've looked really good so far, and they are off this weekend. But keep an eye on them. They're off to a good start.
We're rocking the camo sweatshirts I saw too.
I think Tony tweeted out something about, quote tweet what they were talking about. I hope they were talking about getting me one of those shirts. I hope they were talking about.
Yeah, that's probably what. Yeah. I mean, that's what most people I run into are talking about. How can we get Robbie hooked up with some?
They should.
Cool shirts?
It's a very important thing to talk about.
I mean,
yes.
The real conversation needs to be how can we all get some bobbleheads of Coach Schwab? Is that's the one that I want to know about. Is how can I get one of those? I know we've got some GMU stuff that is probably on the way at some point too from Beasley too. Happy to rock any Beasley swag at any point, but here's what it is. That's what all those conversations should be, is how can we get Robbie some stuff. That's just the way it goes.
That's the only thing I wear. I don't buy clothes, so whatever gets sent to me, that's what I'm wearing. So if you want your program repped, I got you.
There you go. Kevin, on to you.
Yeah, I just wanted to do a quick shout out. Went down to Ann Arbor to call the Michigan and Virginia duel, which was fun. I got 3 quick little quick hitter interviews with Alex Deeringer, Steve Garland, head coach at Virginia, and Matt Finesilver, previously of Duke and the University of Michigan. So that was fun. But the shout out goes to the crew that got it set up to, like, they did like Olympic Day there. So basically like a bunch of their RTC guys, before the duel started, we're sitting out there for about 45 minutes signing autographs, and they marketed it well, and they had a line of people out the door, and it took all 45 minutes. I think they got everybody's autograph signed, but it was Adam Kuhn, Real Woods, Alec Pantaleo, Austin Gomez, Mason Paris, Willawan. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody.
Sergio Lemley, probably. What the hell?
How could you forget Sergio Lemley?
He was not
together.
But he did have. They did like a T-shirt toss out thing at one point, and Real Woods has a cannon arm. That thing, it went very, very far.
He's like really good friends with Diego Pavia, the quarterback of Vanderbilt.
Yeah,
and they upset Bama last year. He was right there on camera with them.
It was really impressive. But yeah, it was super fun. I was excited to go down there, and that was a really cool little pre-match event to have it pretty packed there at the Chrysler Center. For what was
did you get your autographs?
I did not. I kept it cool. I opted to not sneak in there and get autographs. And then the worst part is I got
Adam Kuhn signed my chest.
I got there a little later than I'd hoped, and didn't even get interviews with those guys, which I'd hoped to get. But I'll be back down there. They like to be around, so we'll get something.
Nice. Love it. Those interviews are great. I'm gonna tweet those out this week. So be on the lookout for the interviews from those guys, and it's always cool. I mean, Ringer is one of my favorite people. Is one of my favorite human beings. Honestly, awesome guy.
He sucks to wrestle, though. I'll tell you that.
He sucks to wrestle. I'm sure.
I know from experience.
I am sure. I once asked him, I said, that third year that you were going for your last national title, I'm like, be honest. I'm like, how much effort were you putting in? He was like, I was really in cruise control that year. He's like, I had so much confidence that there was just no one that could do anything against me. And You could see it. For anyone that
Mhm.
watched Ringer that last year, you're like, this man, he's a snowball rolling down a hill, and I feel bad for anybody that's on the opposite end. So
with great hair.
awesome guy. Awesome guy. His wife is also really cool too. I believe she's a bodybuilder as well, or like something with like fitness and bodybuilding type. But she's awesome. She's really cool too. But let's get to the wrestling. Let's start with Iowa versus Pitt. And obviously there was some good matches, whatever. But we want to talk Stout.
Not a lot of good ones.
Not a lot of good ones. No, I mean, it was 36-0, but some were competitive. And obviously the one that everybody wanted to see was Stout versus Endene. And this one, and I rewatched it before we came back on, right? Because I had watched it and I'm like, as you're watching, you're like, man, this is great action, this is great defense, everything else. But you rewatch to look out for a couple of things. And we talked about Iowa's lack of offense. Was that last week when they were coming off of national duels, and how Ayala looked against Davino, and how Ferrari doesn't really fire off a lot of shots, which is ironic how Flo decided to post that. I'm pretty sure that was the reason why they decided to do that. They're steering to the skid kind of people. But the fact that it's another week, and obviously we know that Stout is a very high level guy. He was favored just off the rankings going into the match. But when you watch the shot differential, that's what was pretty glaring, right? And the fans will always be against whoever is on the opposite side. And, they're not the most logical, obviously, when you're the Iowa fan and that's the opponent. But Endene didn't really fire off any shots. He had maybe a half shot before the one that he scores on late, but Stout is in on his leg a couple of times. It was more of a defensive battle for Stout. And then the minute Stout decides to back away in the final 20 seconds, that's where all the boos and the stall warnings want to, the referees in the stands want to throw up some stall warnings and stuff. And it's just like, watch that match, count the actual shots, and tell me where stalling should go. Should it go to the guy that decided to back up in the last 15 to 20 seconds, or should it go to the guy that didn't fire off any full-on attacks until that final 15 seconds? Robbie, what were your thoughts on the match as you watched it in real time? And I'm sure you probably watched it since that day again.
Yeah, it was very frustrating to watch. I mean, Mac was in and finished a shot cleanly really quickly and got out to an early lead. Stayed pretty aggressive, a lot of half shots, a lot of committed shots, and Dean is real quick, moves those legs really well, and spun out of a couple shots kind of oddly. Yeah. I don't think that's going to work well for him in the long run. I don't think that's
it actually got him in trouble. That's how he gave up the first takedown anyway.
Yeah, it's and the difference when he did the second time was Mac didn't reattack like he did on the first one. He kind of let him spin out. To me, it was really frustrating to go through the second and into the third period and see, like you're saying, the shot differential and there not be a single warning. I would say that a stall warning was more than warranted throughout the match on Endene. And I mean, I'd be fine with calling one on Mac late in the match because he was backing up and he was avoiding contact. That's fine. And I mean, to be quite honest, Mac probably should have stepped out at the end there and not allowed that and taken the stall warning. But I don't know. I mean, you live and you learn. There's also some people saying there was a headgear pull. I didn't see it, and his headgear came down a few times, but I think that was just from Endene being really heavy on the head. Yeah. But I think that's what wore him down. Endene has super heavy hands, and that's kind of what he seems to be relying on is his strength in wearing people down and then getting to a shot very late in the match. We saw that in a couple other matches at the national duels as well. So, I mean, he's good. He's certainly talented and can go with anybody, but I don't know. It's a frustrating match for me to watch from an ACC perspective because, one, I think Mac should be more separated than he was. I think he probably should have finished at least one other shot. And he needs to pull the trigger and commit to shots more and be able to put matches away if he wants to win the big ones in March.
Yeah, and it's not like we're not watching this and just trying to shit on him, right? Like I think that he is a super talented wrestler. I think I think he's honestly an amazing wrestler. It's more
He's a
so
freak
just
athlete too.
yeah, like he's an absolute freak athlete. It's more so just watching the match and being like, okay, well, there should have like, where is the stall warning? Are we gonna call it fair or not? Right? Like traditional stalling, as we'll get to when we talk about Penn State, traditional stalling is something that is kind of lost. By the Penn State, I mean the Joe Seeley PJ Duke match, not that Penn State stalls for anyone that wants to fire something off in the comments. But the traditional stalling is kind of lost, right? And that's what you're seeing. I feel like that maybe that third ankle pick attempt would probably be a stall warning at NCAAs or somewhere else, right? Like you just feel like it would have been. Yeah, but I don't know. Kevin, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean that's the whole thing is that like you got to take the venue into account. You've got to take, I mean, that's obviously a big piece of it. You very rarely are going to have Iowa Hawkeye fans calling for stalling, at Carver Hawkeye.
Yeah.
You say very rarely. That's they do the entire match.
Not for their Hawkeyes to get called for stalling.
Oh, okay. For the other people. Got it.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I think the other thing to consider too, in like, you kind of just wrestle the way that it's being officiated.
Yeah.
If there's no reason for him to like change his style or pick up the pace or whatever, like you get a stall warning, take it,
Yeah.
He didn't have to, obviously, but if he didn't feel like he needed to open up more or, put himself in a position to give up a takedown because he gets reattacked or something like that, then there's no reason to do it. So I thought he just wrestled a really smart match, and credit to him. He's still getting comfortable at the Division I level, but he's doing it in a really efficient way and picking up some good wins, along the path. So, yeah, I looked at it differently. Like maybe I will have to rewatch it and look at shot count and look at those sorts of things. But from my recollection, like he stayed in the match enough and just put himself in a position to score at the end.
Yeah, he didn't back up. So, not in
he
that
didn't
traditional
run away, but he certainly was very lopsided in shot count.
Yeah. And obviously shot count isn't the only reasoning for stalling, right? But if you see one guy on the attack and one guy not, that's just kind of hand fighting and moving forward and pushing. And, you're like, okay, well, where's somebody has to, you have to put yourself at risk. That's what taking shots is, putting yourself at risk. Even though you're trying to score, it's still putting yourself at risk when you are on the attack. So, no, I also do think that he wrestled smart the way that he needed to, but it was watching him in the D3 finals against Cam Butka, who, went to my alma mater, and you're like, he is obviously going to be fearless in this match. He knows he's not the underdog, but you see his attacks, you see how dynamic he can truly be. So understandably so, he's on a different level, but it's like you're showing your athleticism through your defense where you could probably easily show it through your offense. Don't shut that down. And I feel like he's more on the hand fighting side of things right now than he is on the attack side, when his attacks probably made him the enticing transfer portal recruit that they wanted him to be. So why shut that down, right? I hate when guys shut down their offense, and I feel like that's kind of something that he's doing. Austin, what were your thoughts on the match?
Yeah, and just to add to your point, you don't win, what's he at, 67 straight matches, something, a certain number of match win streak, and you don't do that by just defense and, not attempting to score, right? So he does have that. You just got to show a little more. But yeah, my thought was, in a neutral setting outside Carver Hawkeye, you got to think Endene gets banged at least once for a stall call. And, that mentality, I think that changes how the match plays out, because Stout in his head might be thinking, hey, I did 8 shots to none, 9 shots to none, whatever it is. I can't get a damn stall call. What the hell am I doing here? So maybe slows up a little bit, and then boom, that's when Endene hits that counterattack late in the match. And, I think if Stout gets one of the stall calls in the second period, maybe even at the end of the first, it becomes less of a nuisance to try and get another one instead of just getting two, obviously, right? So, and then you're up by 3 points. You have that flexibility to run a little bit more in the final 30 seconds instead of just last 15. And that's just a match Stout. He needs to be smart at the end. That's one he's probably gonna think about for a while. Unfortunately, it sucks, but you got to move on and learn from that. But yeah, that's one. Run out of bounds, do something, do whatever you can, not give up that takedown, because he had that match. He was a better wrestler that match, and I think he deserved to win it. But props to Endene for manning up and going to get it when it mattered, right?
Yeah.
You know what the real problem was, and I can tell you in one sentence why Mac Stout didn't win. He didn't have the mustache.
Yeah, I say did
he had a beard, and that's Mac. We've been on this since day one. It's mustache power. You got to keep it rolling, and I need to see it back for the next duel. Get back on track.
Yeah. No, like I said, overall, I am impressed with Endene and his ability to adjust to the Division I level. Maybe it's sour grapes and saying I want to see him attack more, because we've seen him attack on the freestyle side of things. He doesn't make a U23 team without those things, right? He's wrestled these Division I guys plenty of times before, so folk style shouldn't be much different for him. Just continue to do what you're doing. So I just don't want to see him rely more on the hand fight, where he is a guy that does have this dynamic offense that he can rely on as well.
And I think as a whole, though, I mean, for what we said last week with Iowa not being as aggressive as we would like to see them, they were more aggressive kind of as a team this match. And Dean Peterson snuck by Tyler Chappell in sudden victory, which a little concerning that Peterson's doesn't have more separation there. But Ayala put up 13 points. Ryder Block put up 12 points. Voinovich put up 11. Patrick Kennedy put up 11 against Luca Augustine. Gabe Arnold put up 15. So, I mean, 7 of them scored. Caliendo put up 23 against Dylan Evans, who's not bad. So, I mean, 7 of them put up a good number of points and were pretty aggressive. But, I mean, you also see Keeter returning from surgery with a 2-0 win over Pitzer, who's really good.
It's different competition though than the finals of the national. Like
that is fair. That is fair.
Yeah,
Pitt is not.
Fair.
I mean, for the talent that Pitt has at the upper weights, for the most part this year at the lightweights, they're not great. Cade Brown's their kind of best option at the lower weights, and he did not have a good match.
Mm-hmm.
So they're relying very heavily on their upper weights to stay in any duels, and they didn't get it done this week.
Yeah, the caliber is certainly different, but the amount of attacks has definitely went up. And that's, I think, the Iowa maybe expect to see a little bit more moving forward is a more attacking Iowa. Not to say that they normally are, though, right? Like, Iowa guys are more so known for the tough, gritty hand fight and wrestling you in a phone booth than being outside style wrestlers, which Endene is probably the outlier in the lineup, where he is an outside style of wrestler and not wrestling you in the phone booth. Can hand fight really well, but he is that dynamic scorer. The other thing that I wanted to talk about that came from this probably isn't even something that happened during the match. It's something that happened afterwards, and that's Gabe Arnold saying that he still is looking to go down to 174, right? What do we make of that, where Gabe Arnold was in the lineup at 84? Obviously, that's a spot where you have the number 1 wrestler in the country, but at 74, you got the number 2. I wonder what it is where he feels, I mean, eye test, you can tell, but why he feels better that 174 is a better route for him than 184. When honestly, I feel like a bunch of us were probably saying that early on, and we're surprised that he even stayed at 84. But what do you make of Gabe Arnold saying that he will be making that attempt at 74? Kevin, your thoughts?
I mean, he's probably beating up Patrick Kennedy in the room. That's pretty simple, right? Like if you can beat that guy, at this point, you're like, well, why don't I just get down there? I can take his spot. Now, it'll be interesting to see what the Brands brothers do. I mean, I imagine they're probably going to put out their best wrestler and not be, show favoritism towards one person. I mean, literally, Nelson Brands was on the team last year and was an option, and they chose to go with Patrick Kennedy. So it's like, if you're not going to send your kid out there, like, you're going to send the best wrestler out that you have. So, but that's kind of how I read that. Like, if he thinks he can beat him and maintain the weight at 174 and still have the same power and explosiveness and everything that helps him be effective, then get it done.
Yeah.
Plus, I think it's at some level, real quick, now that I'm talking this into existence, it probably shows another level of commitment from Gabe Arnold too, right? Like, hey, I'm committed to making the weight. I'm committed to being here for Iowa. Like, we talked about it over the summer. He was almost kicked off the team.
Yeah,
he was
for like 2 weeks, something like that.
Right. But still, it's like, if you can show like, no, I'm not, like, that was then, this is now, I am committed. I want to be the guy in the lineup. I'm going to get down to weight. I'm going to be the best person that you can have on your team at that weight, and I'm going to win the spot, and I'm going to be on the podium. So,
speaking of which, I'm surprised that nobody's asked him about that. He was, unless they were directed not to, right? Maybe they were directed not to, but like, I haven't seen anything about that. I mean, it was this weekend was his first, I think, press availability since being back, and the bigger story here is him talking about going down to 74, not the fact that he was dismissed from the team and then was back, and everyone was reporting that this had happened and that this was true. So, like, I would love to hear what happened, what changed, what transpired. Obviously, as we talked about in our text, like, the best stories rarely get told when it comes to podcasting or writing or whatever else. I think it was a Joe Kania tweet that you guys were talking about, where I kind of chimed in later on. But like, I would love to know what that situation looks like now. Obviously, we're never going to be privy to the conversation that he had with Tom and Terry Brands, but
imagine there was a lot of yelling.
Yeah, probably a lot of yelling, and a lot of hand fighting. But like, what transpired? What makes the difference now, right? But like I said, we'll probably never truly know, how things transpire. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of the story that is out, but there's always one side, the other side. Truth is usually in the middle. But I would be interested in hearing from him on that. If he has media availability, he's sitting there. It's like, hey, over the offseason, you were dismissed from the team. Now you're back. You're talking about dropping to 74 and showing your commitment to the team to, steal from what Kevin is saying. And what changed? How did all of this kind of come about? But like I said, I don't know if we'll ever truly get that. I don't think anybody's going to ask that question at any time soon, really. But Robbie, what are your thoughts on Gabe Arnold's comments about his goal of still dropping to 74?
I don't know. He's got a hell of a fight in either weight that he's going to try to go to. So if he feels more comfortable at 74 and thinks he has a better chance beating PK than he does Ferrari, then by all means drop. I don't know. I think it's going to be really tough for him to crack into the lineup. Kennedy's looked fantastic, and Ferrari's not giving up any points. So, you got to find a spot to get in. Good luck.
Yeah, and he's sure as hell ain't not dropping to 65 either, because that ain't easy.
No. Or bumping to 97 for that matter. I mean, that's a tough lineup to crack into. And we know he's talented. We know he can beat a lot of people. He can, realistically be a podium guy, but you got to get in the lineup. So if he feels like that's his best chance, then let's see what happens.
Shit, 57 it is. Get on down there. Take on Voinovich. Yeah, Austin, your thoughts on the lineup, I guess, conundrum that Iowa would have, or at least has, at 74 and 84.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking along the lines of what Ryan Holmes, Claunch was saying. When
yeah.
with his Holmes
people can't. It's funny. People can't actually see that Claunch is signed in as me in here.
Yeah. I forgot to change the name, and then I noticed it, and I was like, what the hell? I'm just going to leave
I didn't even notice it till Austin said something about
it. It doesn't show up on the recording. We're good.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's more of a flexibility for lineup options too, because I'm looking at WrestleStack. Kennedy is the only person listed at 174. And he's a senior now, all return All-American. I'm sure he's going to want some matches off. And maybe Iowa's best lineup is Gabe Arnold at 74. And if he weighs in 74, he could also wrestle at 84. Obviously, if Ferrari needs a night off. If Arnold's just weighing at 84, his options are 84 or 97. You know, that's obviously a bigger jump, but we've seen Gabe Arnold weigh in at 74 and bump up and win matches at 84 his true freshman year, right? So maybe it is true he thinks he can beat Kennedy as well. Maybe that's another thing, but I think it adds to the flexibility of the lineup when it comes to dual meets, and just, you know, they have three really good guys in those two weights. He might be the third man out, but he can still contribute, and this is how he's going to do it. And maybe it's looking forward to next year as well. Kennedy, like I mentioned, a senior. He'll graduate next year, and maybe Arnold slides in there, getting his weight down, and, you know, getting his body fit for that weight class. So I think there's a few different options we can go, you know, talking about that.
Yeah, I think 74 is definitely his weight for next year with Kennedy moving on. But this year that's a tough nut to crack, my friend. That is not easy whatsoever. And Caliendo's a senior as well, right?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
Is he also his sixth year? Like,
yeah, with all this, are we almost done with the COVID eligibility? Are we there yet?
I thought we were done like 3 years ago, but evidently no.
no, Caliendo's
They hand out medical red shirts too. People are going to get 2 or 3 of those in their career now too. So
yeah, if the posts are true, then maybe that's one going to a guy in Lehigh named Crookham. If the posts are in fact true of him messing up his labrum or something like that, he'll inevitably have to leave Lehigh. But I don't know. I know that was put on Twitter today, and, you know, not much to make of it as of right now until anybody says that it's true or not. But that would really suck, honestly. Let's jump to Oklahoma State. They had a road trip. They went to Air Force. They went to Arizona State. The picture that Piles tweeted of Figs doing a pre-match prayer and Zeke looking, it's right in front of Zeke. Zeke like looking down right at him as he's doing a prayer. Picture's worth 1,000 words on that one. And then Figs goes out and loses his match, right? So it's tough for me to imagine Figs being the guy throughout the season. Ronnie Ramirez is doing really well at national duels, stepping in after Figs didn't look so good. Figs takes another loss this weekend. I couldn't imagine him being the guy. And I understand, you know, we did talk about Jax Forrest being potentially joining Oklahoma State. If you're reading what Jax is putting out there, he's like, I don't know where that's coming from, or that's not happening, sort of a vibe. But I think Ronnie is definitely a viable replacement for Figs. He just doesn't look comfortable. And I honestly don't think he's a 33. I think he's a 33 because he has to in this lineup, but I don't think he's a 33. I think he's a 25, and maybe just didn't want to cut to 25 anymore. And let's call it what it is. He's probably not going to beat Spratley for 25. So 33 was the easiest spot for him to slot into the lineup, because you have a youngster in Ronnie Ramirez who can step in if need be, but I don't think that they had planned on him doing that. So just kind of is what it is. Kevin, what are your thoughts on Figs, and then as well as the rest of their lineup, right? They had no Swiderski, they had Sheets was in the lineup, and just a bunch of different looks for them with Air Force up against Air Force and Arizona State.
Well, let's start with Figs, and I think the reality is, like, he hasn't looked good in 2 years. You know what I mean? Like,
True.
We didn't see him at all last year until NCAA's basically, and 1 and 2.
We barely saw him there.
2 and 2. Yeah,
It wasn't there for very long.
He is not the same guy that won an NCAA title. And it's a bummer because, like, when he was at his best, he was really exciting to watch and fun and could do some cool stuff. But, it is what it is, right? Sometimes you just see some people and it's a really hard sport. And it's a really hard sport to be consistent at and to be consistent at that level. And once you win a national title, I mean, you almost have that target on your back even more. So I don't know. I don't want to speak for the guy, but he's wrestling like a person who wants to be done wrestling, but is like trying to finish it out and trying to get remotivated to get to those levels again, and it's not working. I hope he can get it done. I really do. But yeah, he's not going to beat Troy Spratley. Definitely not the way he's wrestling right now. And
even Spratley took a day off.
Yeah, I mean, like, they've got some other options, but I don't know. I think if you're Oklahoma State too, you're still trying to, like, we don't want to burn on all these freshmen's red shirts and lose the option to keep them here another couple years, right? Like, you've got to get it together. You're our guy here. We'll give you some matches off maybe here and there, but I as far as the rest of the lineup, like, I can't speak to Swiderski or kind of what's going on there. Obviously, he had a tough couple weeks ago, whatever. Was it 0-3 or 0-4 or something like that at national duels? So, like,
something like that. I think he won maybe one match.
Yeah,
okay, but here's the thing: it's like I think it is important to remember, like, some of those weights were absolutely loaded.
Yeah,
and hey, maybe he should have won more matches than he did there, like, on paper. But he didn't, and so now all of a sudden you see that there's some of these guys who really are coming out there and studs of their own, and, like, you're supposed to go try to beat the people that are ranked higher than you. That's how you get there, right? He just had a bad weekend, I think. So I'm hoping he'll figure it out and get back in the lineup and be able to do something. But, like, we just talked about Iowa's depth. Who's also got a lot of dudes throwing the lineup that are going to be competitive is Oklahoma State. You throw in another dynasty kid like one of those Sheets brothers into the lineup, give him an opportunity to compete and see what he can do there. He drops to a really talented Caleb Larkin. But, what's the point of throwing Swiderski out against Larkin at that point?
Yeah. Not going to help the confidence of coming off a really rough weekend at national duels and then, not looking his best. So
Right. So, yeah, I think that's more of it than anything else. I think that they'll, when it matters most and when they need their studs in the lineup to win duels, they'll put them out there.
Did you see who they wrestled at Air Force?
What's that?
Did you see who they wrestled for the Air Force duel?
They put Cutter Sheets
one and only
there.
Gary Steen.
Oh, Gary Steen.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah, Steen at 25.
We talked him up.
We did.
Yeah, tell him.
But it seems to be match by match, right? Because I'm looking at the results now for Arizona State. They didn't wrestle Ladarian Lockett at 165. It's not like he's an old grizzled veteran who needs a day off. It's not the Tim Duncan old. That's why he's not playing sort of listing, like just, hey, let's get some other guys some matches.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Robbie, your thoughts?
I think you kind of hit on it. A lot of it was they were giving some guys some time off. Zach Ryder got back on the winning side. Not super impressive with a 4-0 win at Arizona State, but they looked good. I don't think either one were going to be a really big test for them, but they came in and took care of business on a back-to-back on a road trip, which is an important thing to be able to do. Also helps to have the depth where you can give those guys the day off and not have to, grit out a long weekend after you just had national duels. But they look solid.
Yeah, they did. Austin.
Yeah, give a shout out too to Cody Rutledge. Wrestled 157 one day and wrestled 165 the following dual meet 2 days later, which is, guys that want to wrestle, they'll find a way in the lineup, and it's cool to see that, and it's cool to see the depth Oklahoma State has as well. Because, like you guys mentioned, wrestle on a Friday, get on a bus, a plane, whatever, travel, make
You're
weight
not
days
riding
later.
a bus. Come on.
Okay, get on a private jet,
It
relaxing
was, yeah,
beds, whatever
those
they have.
pictures had a private jet in it.
Yeah. I mean, either way, it's like
It's
on
like
the
a-
East Coast.
it's a-
When I used to do that in the East Coast, it was an hour trip, 2 hours away. It's not, we're getting on a flight. It's not. It's a little more of a difficult travel than what we do here on the East Coast. But it's they're putting something together there, and it would be a shame for Figs for his last match to be at Arizona State where it all started. I'd like to see him get a win at home in front of Oklahoma State again, get another chance to figure it out. But yeah,
Not
it
quite the
looks
full
like
circle moment you want there.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't want to see him go out like that, but I understand his results just aren't up to par for an NCAA champ or what Oklahoma State wants to produce, right? So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the depth thing. I saw somebody quote tweet those pictures of them getting off the plane and said that they were building something depth wise similar to Penn State. And I'm like, pump the brakes a little bit. Like, let's not go too far off the deep end here, folks. Like, Penn State's lineup, their backups would probably still be national champions. Like, it's pretty wild how good their second and third string guys are in that lineup. Not all of them, but a good bit of them. So, and it's only year 2 for David Taylor. He does have a good crop of guys. They have good depth, but it's going to be a good bit until that happens. And also, transfer portal is very different now than what it used to be. As you see all these guys transferring into Oklahoma State, you can also see them transferring out. It's not a Penn State situation where you at least have a national championship team to be a part of. So it is very different, but the depth is definitely there, just it's not on par with Penn State just yet. So I don't remember who tweeted that, but it's just like pump the brakes a little bit on one of those. But speaking of Penn State, they sent a healthy group of guys to the Black Knight Open, and we got some really good results, really good matches. As I said, shout out to them for not stopping these matches from happening, as a lot of people probably expected. I'd seen another, post on Twitter where it's like, let's hope that Penn State gives us what we all want, which is that glimpse into the room to see how these matches really pan out. And we saw it. Desmond beating Lilledahl, and it was a serious match, very good match. Austin, coming to you first, what did you make of the Penn State on Penn State violence at Black Knight, and any other highlights from Black Knight as well?
Yeah, I'm looking at the final results of the 20 wrestlers in the finals. 15 were Penn State guys. The other 5 were Army. So it just shows how good they are, how deep they are, and a lot of these matches were, somewhat close, between the 2 Penn State guys. And Desmond Moore beating Lilledahl. I heard that. I had to double check, confirm that was right, but I knew Desmond was good, growing up in the Lehigh Valley where he came from. And obviously we know what Lilledahl is, right? Number 1 in the country, and, world medalists, world champions here and there. And for Desmond to be on that level right now is pretty incredible. But then you got to think, A, it's November, and B, they're teammates, right? Their teammates are always going to wrestle close, no matter how far apart they are in different matchups and different settings. But not taking away anything from Desmond, obviously. But teammates do seem to wrestle a lot closer than what people may imagine. So just, again, something to keep in mind. And it's just fun to see Penn State go out, put a bunch of matches together, and just dominate every single one. People may not like the dominating, but it's just, from someone that's been in the sport this long, it's just, how are they so damn good? What the hell are they doing? And it's incredible, the dynasty that they're putting together. And even my wife was like, yeah, Penn State's still good. Is that dynasty going to last much longer? I was like, yeah, it's been 10 years and there's really no end in sight. It's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've got these twins at 197 in heavyweight. They're massive.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
freshmen,
they're very good. They're going to be very good for a while. Desmond is the nephew of Matt Sasuli and Seth Sasuli. So for anyone, the Lehigh fans would know them. Lehigh Valley fans would know who those guys are. I think Seth posted a video. Seth posted a video of the breakdown of the match. Both Matt and Seth wrestled for Lehigh. They're Easton guys as well that I wrestled with growing up. But yeah, it was a very good match, and Desmond looked very good. And a lot of people are like, does he stay or does he go? I think up until this last year where you saw kind of an exodus from Penn State, that really was never a question. You had guys that were in the lineup that could have been All-Americans, and decided to stay. You have the Joe Seeley, PJ Duke dynamic as well, and I couldn't see either one of them leaving. I think that obviously Zach Ryder leaves, but he was all in, until they essentially recruit over him. He's all in. So I don't see a lot of guys looking to leave Penn State. It's very different, and the opportunity to be there and wrestle at a high level is certainly there. Kevin, your thoughts on the Penn State match at 125 or any other Penn State matchup that you saw?
I didn't see any of it, to be honest with you. What was that, Sunday? I think I was driving down to get ready.
Yeah, you were in Michigan.
The wrestling and stuff. So I missed most of it, but I mean, I will say, credit to them for wrestling their guys against each other in the finals. I mean, not only for us being able to watch it, but I'm sure they're talking to them. I mean, doing what coaches do. Like, hey, if you guys run into each other in the finals, you're going to wrestle the match. We want to see where you're at. We want to see certain things out of you. I'm sure they're talking to individuals ahead of time saying, hey, this is what you're trained for. This is what we want to do. I mean, we have a plan on the year if you're going to redshirt or whatever it's going to be like. But, I mean, there's behind the scenes conversations going on before any of those matches take place. It's not, it's not, they know what the coaches are trying to see from them and what's going to get them kind of that next step or get them, more equity, maybe we'll call it, with the coaching staff. But yeah, good for them for doing that. I mean, if you're gonna go to a tournament like that anyway, where it's more or less gonna be your own guys in the finals, you're doing it for a reason, right? They know what they're doing. They didn't have to go to this. They could have done something else, 2 weeks ago, national duels. Yeah, they had better competition there.
Agreed. Robbie, your thoughts?
I mean, I think we kind of knew what to expect from them coming in. I was impressed by some of the wrestling I saw for the Army guys. They seem to have a pretty good tournament. I mean, Flipowitz got second, which is still a fantastic name. Braden Basil won the tournament, and just a few other guys that looked really good along the way. TK Davis looked good for Gardner Webb, got third. Mm-hmm. The one match that kind of stood out to me as an upset, because we haven't really seen him much this year, was at 25 with Cooper Flynn losing early. Did we lose the Farmer, the Army guy, I believe?
Heard that.
Came back and got fifth, so he came back and won the rest, won everything on the backside. So that's good, but kind of a surprising result from him when he's got an outside shot at All-American for Chattanooga there. So would like to see a little bit more from them. But I don't know. At this point, you know what to expect from Penn State. You know that they are the top dogs, and they're at least two deep at every weight with guys who could legitimately contend for the podium. So, I mean, when you have their ones and twos both going, it's kind of what you expect.
Yeah. Robbie, I want to continue with the Seeley PJ Duke match. We talked about it. At least we alluded to it earlier on in tonight's show of the stall warning was it was bullshit. Let's call it what it is. They should have just let them wrestle it out. What did you make of the stall warning and how it was applied in this match?
Nobody knows what stalling is. It's just make believe, and there's counting sometimes, and sometimes there's not counting, and sometimes it's stalling if you push people, or sometimes it's stalling if you don't get back. I don't know. Nobody knows what to expect, and that's what we've been saying from week one. Like, we need consistency. We need consistency in application of stalling. We call it traditional stalling. I mean, stalling's stalling, whether it's a fucking counter, whether somebody's backing out of bounds. Like, we know what stalling is. It needs to be called consistently, regardless of the time of the match, regardless of where it's happening. Like, that's what we need. And if we had that consistency, then people would know what to expect. And these things, like the match we talked about earlier with Stout and Endene, they wouldn't be outliers. Like, we would know what to expect. We would have consistent calls. And this one, like, the ref looked hesitant to call it, even though it was the right call. But I don't know. It's a tough spot to be in because you don't know what to expect.
Yeah, I wish he would have just not called it at all. Like you said, he looked super uncomfortable doing it. Like, it just didn't. He was like, I have to call this. I'm gonna call this. I know this is gonna suck. You literally could have just made an action call, mostly because the action only went to the edge because there was actual wrestling that took them there. There was no circle back in that last, I don't know, 2 seconds where they went out of bounds, but like, the action took them to the edge of the mat. So you could have just let it roll. You know, it's overtime. It's 1-1. Nobody's scored points yet. You know that these are two very dynamic wrestlers and they're wrestling for a very good reason. You know, to Kevin's point, these conversations were had well in advance of, we know that it's going to be us versus us in the final, and we want to see these matches play out. Let them play out. Unless it's absolutely egregious, which it wasn't, should have just let it play out. And like I said, the ref looked very uncomfortable. He did not want to call the stall warning at all. So who knows if we'll ever see that match again, but this was the first time we had seen PJ Duke. And I know Kale had said that we were going to see Duke this week, or this past weekend. And, Seeley had been out on the mat for the first couple, and that Duke was coming. So I wonder how this match plays out in the room a little bit more, because we were kind of robbed of what it truly was with that stall warning, but kind of is what it is. Let's move to Keystone. I know, we kind of beat the dead horse of Penn State and Army at Black Knight. I'm going to come over here to Austin with Keystone. I know this is one that you were pretty focused on. I believe you were there, right?
I was there. Yes, I was.
In the building. What were some of your takeaways from Keystone? Any big time highlights, any performances that really stuck out to you?
Before you answer that, how was the hospitality room?
They upped themselves again. They were making homemade Italian food. I know the Rutgers crowd felt right at home there with that.
That's
really good
fantastic.
meatballs with some gravy, pasta, whole 9 yards. They had, you saw Kevin McGuigan tweeted out, they had a popcorn machine. They had Philly soft pretzels. It was phenomenal.
That trash ass, what was that? Like the fake pizza that doesn't have cheese on it? Tomato pie?
Tomato pie, no.
The fuck is that nonsense? You Philly people, I don't
not just
understand
hospitality room, Robbie. Those are lesser hospitality rooms. They'll have that.
In
That
Easton,
sounds
that does
amazing.
fly. It is
Not the
good
pizza, the
if
rest
you
of
get it
everything.
from the right spot.
Yeah, it has to be the right spot. I agree.
Right
you.
spot.
No, it's all trash. Put
Yeah,
some fucking
but,
cheese on it.
Yeah, Penn actually had 4 champs. In the Rutgers won the team title. Rutgers had 3 champs. The first 4 weight classes, there were actually 3 Penn versus Rutgers matchups. We're really a lot of action. Penn, they have a lot of good freshmen that are coming out ready to score. And I was actually I do the Penn broadcasts like Clonch does the Michigan ones, and every time I watch those guys wrestle, the true freshmen from Penn, they're very mat aware. They have very high IQ. They're just really smart wrestlers, and they seem like they've been at this for a while. Because you guys know, high school to college it's a little bit of a different sport. A lot more strategy you need, and just different rules and things you need to really hone in on. And these guys are always looking to score. They're really offensive, and they just have really good mat awareness. And I'm really impressed with Penn. Cross Wazowski, number 6 in the country at 149 for Penn, with the Halo headgear, Division Quest one, and he's mean and he's tough, and he's going to be a force to reckon with this year. Jude Swisher made his debut for Penn at 157, kind of ran through the bracket there, and 174 was a good match in the finals. Pinto from Rutgers beat Queen of Drexel, who I've been high on for a while now, in tiebreakers, and that was a match that kind of could have went either way. And I mentioned Conway 84 before, and Rutgers was the first time there. Talking to that staff, it's a great event for them. They plan on coming back next year if they get the invite, so they're a nice add. Virginia Tech, they sent they didn't really send many starters. They sent a few here and there. I think 65 they had some starters, and Jimmy Mullen, a heavyweight, was there. Just a week after national duels, doesn't make sense to send all those guys, but they had some young guys in there wrestling really well, and great event. Looking to go back every year. Shawver from Rutgers took a loss in the finals to McGallion of Penn, which was a good match there. And Shawver got pushed in the quarterfinals as well by Devin Casey, another true freshman from Penn, and Izzy Martinez guy from Illinois. So he's going to be good as well. Like I said, Penn just has a lot of good young guys wanting to wrestle hard. And they really impressed me, and they're going to be good in the future here. And that's without CJ Composto in the lineup, who's coming back second semester. Due to the Ivy League rules, you only have so many semesters to compete. So he wasn't even there, and that may have changed the team race a little bit. But yeah, Rutgers walked away with it. Penn was second, and even Lock Haven and Edinburgh, two Pennsylvania State schools, small schools, they performed very well as well. So good wrestling all around, and I was glad to see some action and get back there again. And I'll be there next year, hopefully.
Yeah, Robbie, what did you make of the youngsters from Virginia Tech that were in the mix at Keystone?
For the most part, they looked really good. I mean, Jimmy Mullen had a great weekend. It's nice to see him being more aggressive and more offensive. That's kind of what bites him in the ass is when he sits back and waits.
Yeah, so
it's nice to see him.
To that too.
Yep.
Yeah, the Drexel guy had him on the ropes there.
And that's something he kind of needs to realize and hone in on is when he's attacking, he's really good, and he can't sit and wait around, especially with his, as athletic as these heavyweights are now. You can't muscle through things like you used to be able to. Ryan Burton had a great weekend. We've seen a lot of good things from him this year so far. He's still kind of looking for that, that key win, that one to really hang his hat on, but he looked great, made the finals, lost a close one there. Colin Guy had a great weekend at 49, true freshman there. Him and Nininger are going to be battling it out for the 49 spot there. Nininger had a great weekend in national duels, bumping between 40. They both bumped between 49 and 57. But Nininger had a better weekend, so he stayed home, and Guy went up to here and took third. Looked really good in the process. Drew Gorman, another true freshman, looked pretty solid at 41. And Mac Church also went at 65, finished sixth. Some good things, a lot of good experience for the younger guys. A lot of the losses they took were to Penn, so that's an interesting little note there. Penn looked great. I think you hit on that really well, Austin. They're a very well coached team, and I think they're going to continue to get better and better.
Yeah, regime change at Penn too, so things are probably better than what most would expect, but with it not being such a crazy change where the guy that is coaching them has literally been in their room for so long, in Valenti, probably no surprise there. So, but I think that's awesome that you are seeing Penn very prepared, very mat aware, even when it comes to their young guys and their freshmen that have been in that room. So hopefully they can start to build some things back up. And, I know that influx of money will certainly help on some things as they build some new complexes and do some of the things that they want to do. So that'll be pretty awesome. Before we move to Gable Steveson, let's get to any other notable things that happen in any of our conferences. Robbie, I'll start with you. Any other notable highlights or anything from the ACC last week?
Pretty quiet weekend. Stanford picked up a win. I think it was a Cal Baptist, I believe. I have to look back. One of the Cal schools. I think it was Cal Baptist. And
is Kurt McHenry on their roster yet? Didn't we see?
Yes.
Am I crazy, or didn't we see him? I know we talked about this offline, but is he there?
He was not on it last time we looked.
He might be just a second semester guy.
Maybe
I don't
is
know.
he second semester? Because I mean, I remember seeing that he was transferring to Cal Baptist.
That did happen. Yeah, that tweet happened.
Yeah, I went to look and I'm like, I could have sworn he was on here because they had somebody early. They had somebody in like that first week where I was like, oh, if he's in the lineup at 25, I'd suspect he could have a pretty good match here. And I looked at the roster and I'm like, he's not there like at all. But anyway, Robbie, keep going.
Yeah, that was actually last week that what I was thinking about. Stanford was off this week. There wasn't a lot of ACC action this weekend. Duke wrestled at VMI. They wrestled VMI and Mercyhurst. They shut out Mercyhurst and lost to VMI. Didn't have a couple of their starters. Barker didn't wrestle. Aiden Wallace and Aurelius Dunbar both had good weekends, but otherwise not a whole lot of ACC positive ACC action this weekend. Virginia had a rough go at Michigan, but Gable Porter had a good match.
He did.
Nice.
That thick milkshake, Gable Porter.
Claunch, anything from the MAC or the Big Ten that you took notice of? I know you were at Michigan, you were driving for most of your weekend, but any notes from you? You got you got to fire up the chips here. You got the hat on tonight.
I do. Yeah, I was going to say Mason Schrader did place third at the Keystone Classic, I believe, at 157 pounds. So that was a tough weight class, and for him to go in there and get a nice third place, I was pretty happy with that. He's one of the guys that I'm watching in their lineup this year to have be one of the leaders on and off the mat there. But also shout out to Michigan State. They had a champion at 197 pounds at the Keystone Classic, and Cale Whistler. In particular, I wanted to shout him out because he's a guy that whenever I've talked, like 2 years ago, I think it was, he was in the lineup and was like, by the time it kind of got to Big Tens, was like pretty decent. I think he was a walk-on. I don't know if he was I don't really know his backstory. He wasn't like a big recruit, is my understanding. Anyway, so speaking of big recruits, then they bring in Remy Cotton. Remy Cotton ends up getting the spot last year, becomes an NCAA qualifier. Cale's on the team, wrestles here and there, but for the most part was definitely not like their starter and their guy. Remy ends up transferring to Rutgers, so Cale's back in the lineup. He's stuck around. He didn't quit. He just kept grinding away, and he's winning the Keystone Classic now. So that's really cool for him. Also, shout out to Danish Marines. Cale Whistler
was in the finals too.
Oh yes, and Venadia as well. Venadia took second. Max Venadia.
Is that mustache Venadia or non-mustache Venadia?
I believe non-mustache. Yeah, I think it appears to be something he's going to have to work on. I bet if he had it, he would have taken first.
Very possible.
I mean, probable.
We've seen what happens with the lack of mustaches.
Exactly. Yeah. Wait, if he was showing up to play second, go ahead and show up without one. Oh, and just in general, the MAC had a tough weekend, man. But I'm going to shout out some teams. I mean, and George Mason didn't have their full lineup, but they did lose to American on the road. That was a fun duel to watch for anybody who watched that. That was a really exciting one. A lot of back and forth matches there.
That was an old school high school. That was an old high school one. They had some guys bump in. They had like 3 or 4 guys bump up a weight class, which you don't see in college. So I said, just piggyback on that. That's a fun one to watch because guys are wrestling up a weight class and get wins for the team. That was cool.
Yeah, that was a really good one. They see who they send out, and then they're like, no, come back. We'll send this one out.
Sure. Love that.
And then Northern Illinois lost to Bellarmine, but I didn't bring that up to shit on Northern Illinois. I'm big fans of theirs, but shout out to Bellarmine, man. They have really been like just top to bottom a gritty team, and NIU's good. They've got some tough guys in their lineup, and a couple of them were losing, to the Bellarmine kids. So I'm going to pay more attention to Bellarmine and what they're up to this year because they appear to be on the right trajectory for sure.
Alston, anything in the EIWA that we miss? I know we talked Keystone, Little Black Knight. Anything else in the EIWA?
Yeah, I was going to mention, go watch that American George Mason match. Came down to the last bout. American won, and they won by 2 points there. Another thing I realized too, speaking of fire up chips, Luke Cochran at 97 got 4th place at the Keystone Classic. There's a Luke Cochran on Penn State's roster, so that's 2 people with the same name. Penn has 2 guys with the same name, Nate Taylor and Nathan Taylor. And then Lehigh
I saw that. I was
also,
very confused when I was looking
Lehigh
at the brackets.
heavyweight is also a Nathan Taylor. So there's 3 guys in Division I wrestling with the same name. I'm not sure that's ever happened before. That might be a Jason Bryant question or Seton Hall Pirate question, but I thought that was interesting. 2 guys with the same name on the same freaking team.
I'm
They're
sure. I'm sure Jason Bryant will fire off a text with that note. So once we get that, we'll bring that for the post Thanksgiving episode.
Yeah.
There were 7 John Smiths in the NCAA tournament in 1974.
4 Mike Millers back in 1974.
Only 2 were all Americans, and they met
2 of
for
them
third
wrestled
and
for
fourth.
Millersville.
You gotta love a good Jason Bryant detail and fact. It's always anytime I see his name pop up on my phone, I'm like, this is gonna be good.
Yeah.
This is something. He's giving me something. Even in the middle of the day, I'm like, I'm in the middle of a meeting. I'm checking this text. Don't really give a shit what the people are talking about in this meeting. I'm getting a good nugget right here. So
yeah, get out of here, Chat GPT. You can't do what Jason Bryant does.
You definitely can't. You definitely can't. So that is a good note. Any other notes or anything? I know I was looking at UNI. UNI had who did they wrestle this weekend? North Dakota State.
The highlight of that duel was the Schwabbleheads. And
yeah, I love love the Schwabbleheads. That's awesome name. 2, I love the video that they put together. People literally running to get those. So that was pretty awesome. But yeah,
you gotta love the culture they've built there. They've done a good job with that.
Hell yeah, completely.
Northwestern Princeton was good on Sunday as well. We talked about that.
Yeah, in that UNI duel, there's 2 upsets. Ratchie loses and Trevor Anderson loses. Ezekiel Witt beats Anderson, and Max Peterson beat Ratchie 6-5. So some small upsets in that duel, but overall it was UNI doing what they were supposed to do. The Northwestern duel also another good one too. So
Strickenberg got majored too. You see that?
Yeah,
he did.
Lost me my fantasy match. We got to talk those. I don't understand. And maybe it's just because I'm new to it. I'm not sure why a loss is negative points when you could just not wrestle somebody that wrestles and it's 0. I'm putting guys out there on the mat, and it's not benefiting me. It's making me lose matches here.
Sucks to suck.
My guys just win their matches, so it's like I don't have to worry about
I gotta try that. I gotta get guys that win more.
Sounds like a coaching problem. I don't know.
I'm a terrible GM. My fantasy football, fantasy wrestling, not doing too hot.
Oh man, I mean, it wasn't a good weekend for you at all. I'm sure you were pretty excited about that Eagles game until the final score too. So.
I don't want to talk about that. That's bad. They do it every week. They can't just dominate. They got to let off the gas, let the team in, and then they end up losing this time. It's going to bite them in the butt.
Yep, that's what happens.
In Dallas, of all places, too. Makes me sick.
I mean, in fantasy this week, I've got Claunch, so we'll.
He's sneaky. Watch out for him.
I've beaten the other 2 people on the podcast, so we'll see how this
one
goes.
of us is in first place though, so suck it.
Yeah, but head to head, I mean, I won, so you suck it. How about that?
Yeah, I beat Austin this past week. But yeah, now I've got Claunch, so we'll see if he can. I'm gonna really meticulously pay attention because I want to knock you off of this number 1 spot. Is what I really want to do.
There's not a lot of like wrestling. That's the toughest part.
I know,
week.
that is
That
the
is
toughest
that is
part.
going to be the hardest part.
Yeah. Like this result, like I beat Austin 17-15 this past week, and it's like so many guys just did not even touch the mat. Like so many zeros. I'm like, well, this this sucks, but it is what it is. And I will say though, without the two guys that got him negative points, Austin wins this. He beats me. If they score the opposite of what they did, if they don't get the -4 and the -1, he wins.
Yeah, thanks, Luke Lilledahl. Thought you were a solid top #1 pick for me. You're losing your freaking teammate.
Yeah.
Maybe a loss doesn't count. Penn State tweeted that, so I think we got to talk to.
Did they tweet that?
Yeah, fantasy wrestling.
Yeah, they tweeted that losses to teammates don't count for seeding purposes.
That sounds like a Jedi mind trick.
It sounds like it. These are not the losses you're looking for.
This loss, yes, does not matter.
Well, yeah, they made that rule after was it Dresser had that Iowa State Open? And he had guys wrestle
the last chance open,
forfeit them to get the RPI, and it's like, all right, we're nixing this in the butt now.
Still
thought Kevin Dresser would do something sketchy. Weird.
Still not the worst one. I mean, what was the other one? Was that the same one where Lehigh got in trouble? Was it that? Was that event?
No, that was a different. That was a different event. But talking to
same
Lehigh,
thing.
It's kind of similar, but they had. That was when they had extra matches.
Yeah,
and they were having those guys wrestle not teammates but something else. And according to Lehigh, they had permission from the NCAA or like some kind of agreement, and then the NCAA went back on it. That's what I was told, but not as egregious as Dresser throwing a last minute open and then putting his own guys in the bracket. But
yeah,
wasn't against the rules technically.
There's been other times where they have like I think, what was it? Was it last year or maybe the year before? They had a Cyclone Open that was on their schedule that was like the week before conferences or something like that. And then they realized that nobody actually needed any matches for RPI, so they just canceled it.
Yeah,
it's just like, we don't need
lack
it.
of interest.
Yeah,
I think that was last year.
Yeah,
you know, I'm thinking about the Lehigh one too, where they're like, NCAA said we could do it. It's like when my kids are like, I'm gonna have a pop, and then they like open it, and I was like, dude, I didn't say you could have that. I told you.
I said I'd think about it.
Yeah, no, you. Why did you do that? Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, it's funny how the rules have been kind of skirted over the years. It's fun to watch, but no, that Cyclone Open just disappearing from the schedule was a good one. Certainly a good one. This was the just in case tournament had emerged. So that was pretty good. Before we get to upcoming things, let's finalize the recap portion of the show with a little Gable Steveson MMA talk. And the man is evil in the cage. To knock a guy out and take him down so quickly before he could actually be knocked out.
That was pretty awesome.
I've never seen it before.
Yeah.
I've never seen it before where the hook that you throw is literally just a setup for the takedown. And I know people are gonna be like, well, yeah, he's fighting plumbers, this, that, whatever. I'm talking mainly about the quickness of the large man of the hook.
I've fought some plumbers in my day, and I was not able to do that.
No, I've been in the cage myself. Never that quick. I'm sorry, never that quick. And I'm nowhere near as big as Gable, and I was nowhere near as big as him when I was fighting. Never been that quick, ever. It was an insane highlight.
I said that.
What's that?
About $1 time I said that.
Right.
It's never happened before.
This never happened before. Yeah, there you go. What do you guys make of this? First of all, what do you make of Gable's fight career so far? I know he did this, what was it, dirty boxing or something, but in between these fights before, which everybody was kind of scoffed at, but he's he's showing a lot of promise, and I think he can do very well. But when you guys saw the highlight, what were your first thoughts, and what do you think of Gable on the fight scene? Claunchy, your thoughts? You got kind of a smirk on your face.
I mean, I don't know what this card was, or I'm excited. I'm encouraged. This is what he's supposed to be doing at this point, right? He looks good doing it too, right? I think that is another one of the main things. But like, how many just random dudes did we watch Bo Nickel just beat the shit out of before we were like, okay, but we'll eventually get to some real competition here soon, right? And then we did, and he has a loss, and that's okay too. Like, you're supposed to take some L's here and there, even if you are one of these huge prospects. So we're seeing everything that you're supposed to see from Gable to this point, and that is very encouraging. That punch takedown knockout thing was cool to see, and it's cool on one hand, but then on the other hand, you're like, I wonder if his coaches are like, hey man, like, you can't do both at the same time. Like, you don't want to leave yourself exposed. What if he throws that knee? Like, I don't know. I'm a lover, not a fighter. But anyway. But like, I guess as far as the technique and those sorts of things go, like, I'm sure they'll figure that piece out. But very encouraged so far. He looks great, and I look forward to paying more attention when it's on a more reputable fight card for, higher level stuff.
Yeah. Robbie, any thoughts on Gable?
I mean, his hands are better than I expected from the early footage we saw of him hitting bags. So that's promising. But until we see him against some legit competition, it's hard to know where he's really at. I mean, we know he's an athletic freak, and that's going to serve him well in the cage. But we need to see him against somebody who can, last more than 10 seconds.
Sorry, I nearly said that's what she said, but I kept myself from doing it.
I was waiting for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Austin, your thoughts on Gable?
Yeah, just what you guys were saying. I mean, he was fighting on a Sunday night, and some
I honestly didn't even realize he was fighting again.
Yeah, I didn't either. And they didn't spell his name right either, so that kind of shows you what the league he's kind of in right now. But, the hype is there. The accolades are there. He's still training with John Jones, right? So I think I saw a clip of DC hyping him up as well, which will go a long way, obviously. And, he's a big name, and he has a lot of potential. He's just got to keep working on it. And I agree with you guys, until we see someone that's going to push him or, maybe even beat him in the ring sometime, like Bo took a loss and came back strong. Sometimes you might need that. So we'll see what the future holds, but I'm hoping he's really good. I think we all are.
Yeah, I had some friends ask me the same thing, and I kind of had the same outlook on it of, it's impressive what he's doing. The knockout is certainly impressive. The speed, the power, his hands certainly look way better than when we saw some early punches being thrown. They're being thrown with confidence and power, which is what you truly need when you're in the ring, in the cage, any of those things. But on the other hand, right, we're waiting for him to have somebody who can take a punch, I guess, but also who has the same level of confidence in his stand-up and punches and technique that Gable has to truly test him. And I mean, I hate to be cliche, but it's the Mike Tyson quote of everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. You truly do. Speaking from experience, literally had a plan, got punched in the face, lost the fight myself. So
lost the plan, everything.
Like, had a plan going in, all of it out the window as soon as I got punched in the face. So it is completely true of like what your poise is in the ring. But I feel like Gable has certainly been under the spotlight for a very long time. So he'll have, more poise than plenty of people, probably myself included. But I think Gable can be a champion quickly with what he's showcasing right now. If he continues with the same level of confidence that he is taking into the ring and into the cage. nothing but confidence in Gable as always. Probably a lot less confidence when he was playing football, but when it comes to the combat portion of his career, full confidence in him to do what he's supposed to do. And right now he is on track to do what he's supposed to do and knocking people out. So I just hope that when he does face that competition, he doesn't forget that he is a wrestler, because we have seen the same with other guys as well. And, Aaron Pico, for example, Pico was very focused on stand up for a good bit. And even his first fight, right, gets knocked out. He was so focused on the stand up. So it doesn't seem like Gable's doing that. I feel like a lot of wrestlers go into fights and forget that their foundation is to take a guy down and pound him out and grind him into the ground. But I feel like Gable is confident in all these areas, and he'll do, very well in doing all of that. But enough MMA talk. We've got some wrestling coming up after Thanksgiving, and so let's get into some of these dual meets and things that are coming up. Robbie, going to start with you. Anything on your radar for what's coming up? I think everything is after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, everything's after Thanksgiving. Just had this pulled up. ACC wise, Virginia is heading up to Bloomsburg on Saturday, and NC State has App State on Sunday. So both of those should be handled pretty well by the ACC teams. Like to see Virginia bounce back and get some good wins there. There are some good duels though. South Dakota State, Minnesota will be a lot of fun, and then Iowa State will be really good too. Also, Bucknell, Wisconsin's sneaky good.
Yeah. Austin, anything on your radar?
Yeah, I was going to mention Bucknell, Wisconsin. That'll be on Tuesday night, I think 7:00 on ESPN Plus. Big Ten Plus, I think, is carrying that actually.
Lots of pluses.
Too many pluses for me. I wasn't good at math. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the EIWA. I know the Matt Town at Lock Haven has an open. Generally, don't see a lot of starters there. Mostly, second, third string guys, red shirts, getting some matches in over the holiday. But yeah, I think I like Bucknell. They came close to beating Virginia Tech. They were a match away from beating Oklahoma. I want to say they're full strength coming this week, going to Wisconsin. If they are, I like their odds even more there. So should be a good match on a Tuesday night here. Kind of lead us into Turkey Day.
Nice. Claunch, anything on your radar?
I should have brought this up before, but RAF 3.
Oh yeah, that is this weekend.
That is this weekend on the 29th. So, but in particular with those Austin Gomez, Austin O'Connor, I'm really, really excited to watch that match. It seems weird to say, but I feel like Austin O'Connor, like when you throw his name out there, like he does not get enough respect for how awesome his career was. 2-time champ, and then there was that one year where he blew out his entire leg, and then like went to NCAAs and still got on the podium somehow, on one leg. So that's going to be
too. Austin's a great guy.
I believe it. Great hair as well. Will Woods and Jordan Oliver. That's going to be awesome. I learned that they do the weigh-ins 2 days before. The actual
huge.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a 145-pound match. He'll be 175 pounds by the time that match takes place.
Easily.
That's wild.
Kyle Dake's wrestling.
2 days ahead. Wrestling. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Is Kyle Dake on this one?
Or maybe, you know what?
No, that's the next.
No. I'm sorry. I'm just looking at the news stuff. That was the
next card's going to be really good. There's a lot of really good matchups on the next card. This one's got a few really good ones. Bill Bassett and Darian Caldwell.
Spencer Lee's wrestling. Yep.
At Downey again.
Yeah, the Austin versus Austin match winner will get Yanni.
Mm-hmm. That is
Didn't
true.
Yanni put his purse up on the line too?
I think so. Yeah, put that video out there. So, which is funny to me. Not gonna lie. Like I love these guys are getting paid and everything else, but it's it's not like we're, these wrestlers are making a shit ton of money where it's like, they're not boxing prize fights
Right.
where they're making millions and millions and millions. So like, I'm not putting my purse up in these situations when it's thousands that we're making, right? Like I'm just not doing it. But I love the promotion of it. I love to, he's being the guy and stepping up as the champion of this weight class. I think it's going to be awesome to watch. We've got two Gomez's on here. Actually, this is a sibling card. Alexis Gomez is also on the card as well. So yeah, another Caden Henschel match, and I know
Clay Guida.
yeah, he's got Clay, and I'm surprised. I mean, I'm not surprised that Clay Guido wants to continue to compete. Him and Izzy are very close. So I consider I consider him to be kind of the same as Holly Holm as well, and with Holly Holm wanting to be on these cards too. And I know people have gotten mad about the Caden Henschel take and everything else. Like I said, it's never anything against his wrestling. I just think he's awesome at making content, and people will want to watch his content. I want to watch his content. So I think
I'm looking at RAF's Instagram post, and they actually kind of tagged or whatever you called it with Caden on there just to help amplify that. So I think someone at RAF has taken our advice, which is good.
I think he should be creating all their content.
Yeah.
Right. Even once if he's ever done wrestling on these cards, which who knows if it is, he should be the one running all of their shit. It should be him. Yeah. It should be him on camera. It should be him doing, podcasts. It should be him doing interviews behind the scenes. All that stuff should be him. He's amazing at it. He's not a bad wrestler either. He's a pretty damn good wrestler as well. But I think where we know him from is more so creating content. But yeah, I think that the kids that watch his content probably want to see him wrestle. I forget who made that comment on a couple shows ago. Kids that watch his content probably want to see him wrestle and continue to support him and everything else. But I also feel like I would love to see him commit his time to just promoting a card. So maybe that happens with RAF4, where I don't think he'll be on RAF4. So maybe that happens where he's like, I'm just going to devote my time to making content for this card. I think that would be dope. I think it would be awesome. But yeah, what match are you guys looking forward to the most on here? I can't wait to see Real Woods Jordan Oliver, to be completely honest. 10 years different. There's a lot of age gap in here. 43 for Clay Guida and 24 for Henschel, and then 25 and 35 for Real Woods and Jordan Oliver. So it's a little bit of age gap too in here. Yeah, Caldwell Bassett 37 and 19. Like, I think it's probably the year that Darren Caldwell won his title was probably the year that Bo Bass was like born. He might have been like a year old when that happened.
Yeah, it's close. Yeah.
That's wild. That is so crazy. But yeah, what other matches you guys looking forward to? I know, Claunch, you were the one that brought this up. So what match are you looking forward to?
Just Gomez and O'Connor. I think that's going to be awesome. And then the fact that you then get to whoever wins that battle, you get to look forward to the Yanni match. Like that's enough intrigue for me. I'm in.
Yeah. Robbie, any matches you're looking forward to on here?
I think Austin's going to be good. Real and Jo is going to be good. An interesting one is Tazudinov and Anthony Cassiope. So Taz is kind of he's on a bit of a slump right now, which is odd for him. So this is my understanding, his first appearance of at least a couple scheduled ones. So they're introducing him against Cassiope. So I'm interested to see where he's at, because he did not have a good weekend last weekend, but damn talented. So the more we can get him over here to wrestle, the better we are.
Yeah. Austin, any matches that you're looking forward to on this RAF3 card?
Yeah, I like Jo at Woods, O'Connor, Gomez. it'd be fun to see Spencer Lee back, but kind of what Robbie was saying, it's cool to see Taz, Olympic gold medalists, not from America, coming on these cards. Might expand that the internationals coming in and competing on the future cards here. So that might open the door to something in the future, which would be cool. So yeah, I think it'll be a good card overall. Good to see Pat Downey training again in between Marlboros and whatever beer he's drinking. But
yeah, if only that was Marlboro.
Hold on, guys, I gotta put this blunt down. I got some training to do.
What a promotional video!
Yeah,
get you fired up.
Amazing, yeah. And the funny thing is that like Kevin's he's not even just like making fun of him. That was an actual video that he put out. That was real. That was real. So yeah, this will be fun. This will be a lot of fun. I think Bo Bassett, it's gonna be funny to watch Bo Bassett wrestle Darren Caldwell, mostly because he's gonna just run over him. Like, I'm sorry, but like he's got a motor that Darren Caldwell doesn't have anymore. He's just gonna run over him. Darren's gonna be looking for some big throw or something big, like, because it's a buzzsaw that is a 19-year-old buzzsaw. Like, it's just stop.
Darren's like, I haven't been up at 5 a.m. in years, dude. Fuck that.
I've been up until 5 a.m., but
right?
That's for you now, man.
Like our ages start with a 3. At no point should we be trying to mess around with a 19-year-old in any sense of the imagination. Like, just stop it.
It's a good life lesson right there.
That's
just
why I said it the way that I did.
All around. Yeah.
That's exactly why I said it the way.
All encompassing.
Man. On the folk South side, I know we mentioned the Cyhawk. So Iowa versus Iowa State. Gonna be some good ones in that from top to bottom, honestly. And I know that WrestleStat has Dean Peterson favored over Steve-O, but I'm taking Steve-O.
Yeah, me too.
I think Steve-O wins that one and puts Iowa State in pretty favorable territory to start that. I don't think that they beat Iowa, but I do think that Steve-O gives them a little bit of juice to start this one off, to be honest. But what are your guys' thoughts on this?
There's certainly a path.
Yeah, I haven't beaten Iowa.
Yeah?
Yeah. So yeah, you get Steve-O at 125, 141. I've got Echemendia getting that one. I've got Paniro Johnson getting it at 149. I'm going to change that. Change the score. I had a major decision originally, and I'm like, he really doesn't major that many people. And Ryder Block has been having a really good year
over time.
Yeah, Block's been looking good.
He has, but I think it's a different level. I have 157. I have Vinny Zerban getting it done, and I mean Jordan Williams, if he's healthy and comes back out, maybe. But I think if you don't see him, then you're gonna get Vinny Zerban getting it done, and Vinny can beat Jordan anyway, right? I mean, he was an All-American before that. He had a great year with Northern Colorado as well. So, and then 197. I mean, it really comes down to: are we gonna get Rocky Elam, and is he gonna look good? I think a healthy Rocky Elam on paper should beat, Endene. And then I've got heavyweight. I got
Bastida definitely over Peter in that one.
Yeah. And that's it. I mean, like you're going to get wins from Ayala at 33. You're going to get wins from Caliendo at 65. You're probably going to get Kennedy and Ferrari at 74 and 84. And some of these matches are toss-ups, right? But like that's the path I have for Iowa State to be able to get it done.
Yeah, I see Iowa State winning up to six of the 10 bouts there. I think kind of what you were saying, Conch. And I think how many has Iowa won in a row now? It's at least 10 or 11, right?
Yeah,
I know it's a lot, so it could be the year Iowa State does it. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, we thought that the year that Gabe Arnold came out and was the savior, where he. Did he beat? It wasn't MJ Gaitan that he beat.
No, it was the transfer from Clarion.
Campfelt or something, right?
Feldkamp.
Feldkamp, yeah.
Feldkamp,
Yeah.
Feldkamp.
Who was just trying to go upper body, which was the weirdest thing ever.
That's not a good idea.
Wasn't he? He's from Michigan. He was Kent State, and then he was Clarion, and then he was Iowa State.
Yeah.
Right.
And just not good. But I feel like MJ Gaitan is gonna try something crazy on Patrick Kennedy because he's that kind of guy. He's got some tricks in the bag. But Kennedy is just way too forward focused, like too much pressure for that to happen, really. Yeah, I don't know. Robbie, your thoughts on Cyhawk duel to close things out?
There's a lot of coin flips. I mean, I think you could argue 25 is definitely a coin flip, 41, 57, 65 is probably the most lopsided match. I mean, Isaac Dean's good at 84, but I don't think he's going to challenge Ferrari too much. 97 is definitely a coin flip. 285. Yeah, I lean towards Bastida, but I mean, Keeter's good. That's a coin flip. So I mean, half the duel is very much within the margin. So it's going to be a good battle. I think it being in Ames is helpful and taking away the energy of Carver. So we'll see. I mean, I think I'm leaning towards Iowa with what I've seen from them, but there's certainly a path for Iowa State to get it done.
I don't think Tom Brands has lost to Iowa State since he's been the head coach there. So it's been, many years.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I don't see 285 as a coin flip. I see Bastida going hard at Keeter.
I agree. I'd say by ranking is a coin flip. I think Bastida's
by ranking
in a much better position right now.
But I don't see Keeter really being able to do much at this point. Still kind of get his legs underneath him. Elam can certainly win this matchup, but it is not going to be an easy one to come back from, right? This could potentially be his first match of the year. This is not really where you want to be against Endene, to be completely honest. But yeah.
But I mean, the energy of a rivalry match, maybe that's good to get some, I don't know, adrenaline going.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe for sure. It is going to be a very good dual meet, though. I still lean towards Iowa to win this one. It's tough to see them losing to Iowa State. Just, I don't know, maybe it's based on principle. I have no idea, but I think that there's going to be some bonus points for Iowa at some point. That is honest. I mean,
65.
It could, 65. But even outside of 65, I feel like there's going to be some, like, could Ayala be ultra offensive and get a major, right? Something like that I feel like this duel always kind of comes with. But I don't know. It would. I'd be shocked if Ayala did get bonus points over Frost, to be honest, but there's always something. There's always something in this duel that we never really bank on. And I think, Gabe Arnold was the one 2 years ago. And then what was it, Ferrari last year? That kind of did the same thing as Gabe Arnold. So we'll certainly see what transpires this year, but it is going to be a good duel. It's happening, I think, what is it, noon? It's on ESPN as well. So noon on Sunday is when this one is going to be happening. So everybody will be able to tune in, especially us that has YouTube TV now that we've got ESPN and all the Disney shit back. So make sure we're tuning in. Gentlemen, any thoughts, any parting words before we put this one to bed and get ready for Thanksgiving? Because as a non-wrestler, Thanksgiving is the holiday I look forward to the most.
Oh, it's the best. Yeah, I'm just thankful for you guys. I'm thankful for people tuning in, and I'm thankful that I get to go back to Ann Arbor, see my brothers, my mom, and some family, and eat a shitload of food.
Yeah. Nice.
Go Lions.
Yeah,
right, Coach?
Go Lions. Let's go, baby. Yeah, big game against the Packers.
Oh boy.
I love those black uniforms the Lions have, honestly.
Dude, so quick story. I was obviously calling that duel, so like I'm not watching the Lions game against the Giants, so I don't know what the score is. And so then like I checked my phone and my buddy had texted me some super cryptic shit about like how upset he was, and I was like, what's going on? So I check ESPN. It was 27-24, I believe, at that moment. And we're down, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like, what the hell's going on? So I watch not only the field goal to send it to overtime, but then like obviously the big Jahmyr Gibbs run right after that, like first play, it was just like, but that's the crazy thing with Jahmyr Gibbs is as soon as you see him get that little crease, you're like, oh, he's gone. That's
So
it.
fast.
It's a touchdown. And it's like you even see this guy who's got 10 yards of space and like an edge on him. And it's just like, doesn't matter. I'm just going to run faster than you are. It's like playing a video game on easy where you just hit the turbo and your guy just outruns all the computer guys. Like, That's how it works.
It's a Bo Jackson Tecmo Bowl moment.
It really is, dude.
Yeah.
It's
solid reference.
He was unstoppable. It's just what it is. Yeah. Speaking of video games, sometimes I get the itch to like go to like a vintage video game store and get like an NFL Blitz or something like that because I'm like, I need to play some old video games. I haven't had a video game console in I don't know how long, like college.
Last one I had was a PlayStation 1.
Yeah, like I don't really have interest in playing video games these days, but
I play them all the time. I love them. I have Blitz. It's right over there.
It's amazing. I love it. We have in my office, we have the old school like Space Invaders and Pac-Man. We have two tables. So every once in a while you'll hear somebody plug those in and fire those up, those old school games. So yeah, my office is a big fucking playground to be completely honest. But yeah, there's days where I'm just playing that game for half the day, like skipping meetings and stuff. But
That's awesome.
Yeah, video games don't really happen much for me unless it's playing those games in the office. But no, love football, love turkey. Make sure you guys get really, really fat because most of you that are watching this are not wrestling just like the rest of us. As Clunch said, we appreciate you guys. We're grateful for everyone that watches and listens. Even the people that think that we mess up names. Yes, I know that I say Bosch instead of Bash. I literally say that to him all the time whenever I talk to him in person. Also, we did not mess up Richardson's name. We did not say Richardson. And for the person that referenced the captions, they are guessing at what we're saying, not actually what we're saying. So, but I do appreciate the fact that he said the takes were solid. You just messed up some names. I'm like, fine, I'll take it. I'll certainly take it. At some point, yes, we will get some names wrong, is what it is. But those
captions nailed it when I talked about DeSanto, though, so we're good.
Did it actually come up on the screen?
The takes were solid.
I don't think it shouldn't have.
Bleeped it out.
Yeah. I did. I made sure that people didn't know what was being said, even though if you know what Robbie said during that episode, put that one in the comments. That's what I would like to see. If you know what was said, put that in there, and I'll tell you if you were right or wrong on next week's show. But no, as always, yeah, there'd be a giveaway for it. No, I can't do that one. But no, we are certainly grateful
that one to Adidas.
For all the comments, all the likes, shares, subscribes, everything that the community has been giving us. We really do appreciate it. We're looking forward to even more wrestling, but even more turkey as we watch some wrestling. It's that leftover turkey bowl that you better be eating as you watch the Cy-Hawk duel, as well as anything else from here until basically Christmas if you make enough food. But we appreciate it. We'll see you guys next time on Quad Pod. Peace.